Deal.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll go on it.
Go on.
So hello and welcome back to In Conversation With. We're back in the U and DCU column. How are you?
I'm not too bad on
I
yourself.
feel like that rhyme with it there.
Yeah, you're a modern day Shakespeare.
Thank you, thank you. Today we're joined by one of Ireland's few World Cup finalists in field hockey, an international women's field hockey player, Chloe Watkins. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me in.
Thanks a million for joining us.
I may have taken a few wrong turns, but eventually I got here.
We'll forgive that. So thanks a million for joining us, Chloe. I suppose the hockey team has really gotten a lot of coverage since the summer because of your successes. So our interview is something that you're getting asked for more and more often now.
Yeah, definitely. I've been on the team for over 10 years now, and it's definitely since the World Cup there was just a huge spike. Just in general interest and I suppose support as well, which is great. But it's always nice to get asked for an interview, and you're kind of at the start you're saying yes to everything because you just want to put hockey out there. But then you realise okay, I can't be doing everything here. I have to kind of keep my training up and not get my focus too split, so it's just a matter of balance.
And so what's your schedule like now these days?
Very, very heavy. Can't even lie about it. We're pretty much training full time, so we train out in Abbottstown on the sport campus, so we're all day Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday. Wednesday is our sort of down day, and then Thursday we have a half day kind of gym and a training session.
Right.
Friday's down day again, and then club match on the Saturday. So that's kind of how we're working right now.
And then are you working part-time as well?
I've taken time out, so I was working with Mazars as a trainee accountant up until just before the qualifiers, around September, October. But given the schedule now, up until I'm like trips away, 3 weeks away in March, and we were away in January, and we're away again in May. So it's kind of hard to balance with a job, so I've just taken 6 months out.
That Google Calendar is jam-packed. Right, so we'll talk about your successes later in the podcast, but first, where did the love or the interest for hockey come from?
I suppose, my family all played hockey. We'd be a bit of a hockey family that way. So I was introduced to it very young. When I was 7, I started playing with my school team. And from there on, I suppose, I played football as well, and I loved football. But once I kind of got to secondary school level, it was a matter of choosing because it was taking up too much time. And I think just maybe the fact more of my friends played with hockey, I decided to stick with the hockey, and then kind of played it through secondary school, and obviously made some of my best friends through it, and kind of played through with the school team.
I was actually going to ask about Anna Flanagan, who you've played with through secondary school, through UCD, and then internationally.
Yeah, sick of her.
Yeah, it must be at that stage. It must be like having to deal with her all the time.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's been a curse. That's like the crazy thing. Yeah, some of my best friends. We've grown up playing since we were in school. So it's funny to we're looking at it now, and we're at the other end of our careers, and we don't know how the time's kind of flown by that quickly.
You probably don't even think about it until...
Not at all. We still kind of feel like we should be in college, and you're all playing stuff. It's cool. I suppose, since the World Cup and we had that success, that's been really satisfying because we've been at it for so long that it's kind of nice to have something like that, and now qualifying for the Olympics to kind of be like, okay, it was all worth it, and how far we've come. So yeah, it's nice to reflect on it.
And playing internationally for Ireland, was that always a goal as you were growing up, or did it just kind of happen that way?
I suppose it was. My brother played for Ireland, and we would have followed him a lot, just on family holidays and that kind of thing. And I was always exposed to it, and I always thought that's amazing. I want to do that. And then I was just super competitive, so I was just I want to play, the best I can all the time, and I want to play against the best players, and I want all that. So I suppose I was super competitive from that point of view. So I always wanted the challenge of trying to make the team and trying to make the Irish team as high as I possibly could.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
So we mentioned it there.
2018.
It was a very successful year for Irish women's hockey. So just kind of describe, going to the World Cup, were there expectations, were there goals, or was it just a flurry of
Yeah, the World Cup, there weren't any expectations on us, to be honest. We were...
It's probably made it easier in a way.
It did. It's always nice being the underdog. And when you know you actually have a serious, opportunity to compete with the teams and you're quietly confident, it's even better being the underdog. But we were the second lowest ranked team in the tournament, so we really didn't have any expectation. 15 out of 16 teams, people don't really worry about you, but we knew we could get results against them. So it was kind of a good place to be in, I suppose. But once we got there, kind of just took it one step at a time, and we actually we just dealt with things really well, I think, and just stayed in our own bubble, did our routine every day, took one game as it came, and then suddenly we were in a quarter-final before the hosts, before anyone else in our group, and it was just kind of, I think people were quite surprised, except for ourselves.
And in terms of the games, you had a lot of important moments yourself in the game, a lot of important scores yourself. In terms of just psychology, in not getting, feeling the pressure of those moments, is that something you've trained on with the team?
Yeah, we would practice penalty shootouts, 1v1s and those kind of things, certainly, and we would have done that quite a bit coming up to the World Cup, but it's hard to practice those moments when it comes to it. I was actually pretty terrible to practice. I wasn't really scoring them that much, but I was still like, I think I'll be okay if it came to it. But it is more the mindset, and I think, for me it was kind of past experiences and realising what didn't work and what I needed to do, and it was just a matter of keeping my focus on solely what I was trying to do and not let whatever else was happening around the pitch, all the kind of the gravity of the occasion kind of get to you. It's just, I was just trying to concentrate on literally the steps of my 1v1 and what I wanted to do, and trying to stay as calm as possible. I literally was like barely moving. I was trying to keep my heart rate so low, and I was just like really, really trying to stay calm. So it's difficult to fully kind of train for those moments, but with experience and those kind of things, I've kind of learned how to deal with them.
And of course, in terms of the final, look, compared to the rest of the tournament, of course the final didn't go the way you wanted, but what have you learned from that final?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a harsh lesson. Holland are undoubtedly the world's best in women's hockey, and have been for a number of years, so it was always going to be a step up, and it's kind of shown us that, any mistake we made was immediately capitalised on, and it was a goal. So it was just, it's a different level, whereas you might get away with, a few mistakes here or there against other teams, but with them it was just, they're so clinical. So it's another level up again, which is what we're striving towards. But it kind of, you have to have those experiences to then see where you are. And I suppose if we have them in our group at the Olympics actually in Tokyo, so we're not too worried about that again happening, because I think we've learned from that experience.
The bar has been set.
The bar has been set. We know where you have to be at a performance level to play against them. So.
And you played in the Netherlands for, was it a year or two?
One season.
And comparing, let's say, the facilities over there to here, what were the biggest differences that you noticed?
Yeah, well, it's crazy. Hockey is like their main sport over there. It's just like, seeing football pitches everywhere here, I suppose, or GAP pitches. It's just hockey everywhere. And certainly the sponsorship level at club level over there is insane. It's obviously on TV every week and that kind of thing. Right. So there's a higher interest and a higher sort of level that sponsors can generate income, that kind of thing. So it's definitely more widely seen, and the coverage is definitely a lot better. So it's slightly on the professional side, and you're training 5 or 6 times a week, and the club setups are all pretty nice, like their facilities and that kind of thing. Whereas here you could be sharing facilities with a school, that kind of, it's more shared here.
But now in Ireland, I know Park Developments and Softco have invested into Irish women's hockey. So what are the biggest differences or improvements you've noticed from that?
Yeah, well, it's allowed us to go full time. Part-time, full-time, it kind of feels full-time, but it's allowed us to do that. I mean, before we would have just been trying to give all our mornings, all our evenings, all our weekends to training, and now we're in a position where we can spend, full days on a Monday and a Tuesday out there because of their support, which is which is so much nicer to be able to do, and it's still tough and challenging, but it's taking away the added pressure of trying to balance a full-time job as well as everything else.
Of course, yeah.
Like we said there before, Tokyo is coming up. What's the mood in the camp like preparing for an Olympics?
It's quite challenging at the moment. The Olympics is unique in the fact that only 16 go, and normally for hockey it'll be a squad of 18. So already you're looking at 2 less spots, which is hugely competitive. You know, it was competitive for an 18 anyway, so now when you're looking at a 16, it's tough, and everyone's just keeping their head down and trying to get through the next few weeks as best they can, because he's really putting on, he's upping the intensity, I suppose, of training and everything else. So you can definitely feel that within the squad, but at the same time, we know it's important to keep that level of fun and togetherness that we do have as a squad, so it's just kind of getting that balance right now. So.
Is it tough, like, when the training is so intense even at this stage and the Olympics are not for another 5 months or so?
Yeah.
Is it tough now to keep up the intensity, you know, when the end goal is still a good bit of time away? Yeah,
well, there's sort of, I suppose, more short-term targets for us. There's a trip to South Africa for a training camp for 3 weeks in end of March. So there's a selection for that. People will be trying to get in for that, and then in April again, there's more games and there's another selection there. So you always have these targets that you're trying to work towards, and you can't really think too far ahead when you're in an environment like that, because you can't be complacent for a second. There's somebody waiting to take your spot, so you kind of have to work every day as best you can, and then if you make it to May or June and you're still there, you'll be doing well.
Well, we obviously wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you.
There'll be plenty of eyes watching. I think
Absolutely.
Now after the World Cup there'll be a lot more eyes watching.
There is one kind of asterisk at the moment. I think we all know what it is.
Yeah.
Has been discussion in the camp about the coronavirus?
No, not too much.
Can we stop talking about this bloody disease? Fucking head in.
Well, I don't know. I firmly believe that it's kind of going to taper. Maybe I'm in denial about it, but I'm like, it's not going to affect it. Even though I saw the BBC Sport put out something that the Tokyo were saying that they could postpone it. That they might postpone it, but they're not going to cancel it and that kind of thing. But you can't focus on that. I'm working towards July, and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chloe, one thing I wanted to bring up to you was the 2020 campaign. It's something that's come up on the podcast a couple of times with different guests, and it's something that has been spoken about so positively. So just for yourself, how have you seen the 2020 campaign like in action? Are you seeing results in terms of hockey?
Yeah, I think so. I think particularly from a junior level, there's been a huge surge in young girls and boys starting hockey. There's been a number of new clubs opening up across the country in more, through Munster, through sort of the southeast, southwest of the country, which is great to see, which is probably not traditionally a hockey area. So there's definitely been a huge increase in participation in our sport. So that's great. But also, I suppose if you look at the Olympic qualifier in Donnybrook, that was a sellout of 6,000 plus. A record attendance at a female event, which was completely unprecedented for hockey as well. So you're definitely seeing big changes, which is great. So hopefully it can continue, and we'll see it from the media as well.
One thing when we were chatting to Jackie Hurley the other week, she said is that now young girls have the benefit of having role models that they can look up to, whereas like at her age there wasn't too many. Do you see yourself as a role model as a hockey player?
It's funny kind of to think about that. I certainly would consider myself to be this perfect human now that I remember looking up to these athletes. But I suppose I try to do my best and play my best. And if there are young girls that kind of get in contact with me or ask me things, I certainly try and get back to them and encourage them to keep their sport up. So from that point of view, I suppose, always trying to encourage the next generation.
I think when the 2020 campaign came around, it was perfect timing with the final. So from our perspective, from an outsider perspective, you know, your team is a role model for young girls, definitely, in terms of, you know, what you achieved. And as you said earlier, you know, you were one of the last ranked of the teams in the World Cup, and then you get to the final. So just in terms of that, I think you're definitely setting a great precedent.
Thank you.
In terms of, God, what did I want to ask? It was about, in terms of your sporting icon back when you were a child, I think Jackie Hurley said Sonia O'Sullivan, maybe?
Yeah, she said that was right.
Who were your role models back in the day?
Sonia's definitely in mine. I remember watching her. She was just like the first female Irish athlete. I remember that was just performing on the world stage, so definitely have great memories watching her. But I suppose, obviously being a Liverpool fan myself, Stephen Gerrard is huge. I'm a huge fan. I'm a big Serena Williams fan, and always have been, which I know she gets a good bit of it's a bit of a love-hate with her, but I think she's just been such a dominant athlete in her sport, and has really kind of changed the image of what a female athlete can be, that I think she's been incredible over her career, and definitely has inspired me. So she's always somebody that I've kind of looked up to as well.
And then even locally, when you were playing in Dublin, who were the people who kind of motivated you or gave you inspiration?
I was very lucky that I was in a hockey club that had a number of Irish internationals when I was, say, 14, 15. Linda Caulfield, Jenny Burke, there were so many of them that were incredible players, and I remember just being so starstruck, like coming up to the first training or them walking by. I remember I did a clinic and they were coaching at it, and I was just like beside myself that I was getting to play with them, that kind of thing. So it was always nice to have those kind of local role models in my sport that I was kind of in contact with growing up.
Right, so away from the hockey, when you actually get a chance,
I do this. This is my Wednesday.
What is it you like to get up to? What's the spare time filled with?
I suppose you could say I love all sports, so I do like, if there's anything on, I'll be watching it, whether it's tennis, football, whatever it is.
Anything you watch that no one else does? Any niche sports?
Niche sports. I love it's not niche, but I love like the NFL and that kind of stuff, and so I would follow that when it's on. But I suppose just trying to catch up with the people that you're not seeing every day is always really nice to do, but also really difficult to do, because it's like, I'm free on a Wednesday the 26th, are you around? And they're like, come on. It's like I have to try and see people around the schedule, which is difficult. But big food fan, so I love going out and trying any new spots, any new coffee spots. Big into the coffee as well, so sort of eating my way around Dublin.
Any favourites in the spot that you'd recommend?
Well, my local coffee spot is Hatch, which I love. It's a very cute little spot. And for food recently, where was I? 5 Points in Harold's Cross. Have you been to that one?
No.
It's a good, it was nice. But so any other recommendations I'm open to?
I'll rack the brain and I'll let you know.
What kind of coffee?
I'm really hesitant to say that I like flat white with oat milk, because I know it's a huge
I'm cappuccino with oat milk.
Are you? I just prefer the taste of oat milk.
Yeah,
it's not even anything to do with trying to be non-dairy. It's just I love the taste.
I'm hooked on caramel macchiatos.
Okay, well you're way worse.
I noticed.
Okay, I feel better.
Yeah. Oat milk is just far superior.
It tastes so good, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's just more expensive is the only thing.
It is.
Like I pay, the coffee that I get, the Arch down in Waterford, please sponsor us. The coffee I get, the large is probably like a medium in a regular coffee shop, and then it's €3.60, but I add on 40 cents for the oat milk.
Right.
So it's steep, but it's worth it, because I always say that it's the best coffee in Waterford. Seriously, sponsor us, please.
I'm from every time in Waterford.
Exactly. Hit up the Arch.
Yeah. Actually, my friend is up and down to Waterford every weekend because my friends are. I must tell her.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and if she wants, she can call into the book centre. That's where I work. Again, it's get mentioned on nearly every podcast at this stage, so it would feel wrong not to if we're talking about Waterford.
Why not?
But yeah, do tell her that the Arch is the best place to go.
Chloe, for people who aren't so familiar with field hockey, how would you sell it to them?
I would say that it's non-stop action. It's 60 minutes, but it's high intensity. Balls nearly always in play, bar like short corners, that kind of thing. But it's non-stop, kind of up and down the field. It's very fast. So yeah, kind of like that. It's like, you know, hurling's a fast field sport. It's stick and ball. Hockey's a fast field sport. It's a bit of a smaller pitch, but it's that kind of thing.
Fantastic. And in terms, you're now a senior member of the squad. In terms of the younger players, how do you pass down just advice or, you know, lessons to them, or, you know?
I prefer to say less experienced, not younger.
Okay, sorry.
I'm joking. Yeah, it's about kind of being supportive when they come into the team environment. It's always a bit daunting when you do come into a senior panel. It's always a step up. So I suppose just helping them when you can and not being discouraging in any way. We're trying to create that kind of environment within the squad that everyone kind of feels comfortable. They can chat to whoever they like. It's quite open and honest, and yeah, just try and create that.
Fantastic. And ideally, let's say in 5 years, where would you like to see field hockey, women's field hockey in Ireland be?
I think
An Olympic gold medal.
yeah,
Of course.
absolutely,
Yeah.
number one, and just regularly up there with the other sports in the country, I suppose, just regularly in the media, you know, along with all of our sort of, you know, GAD, football, rugby. It'd be great to see hockey up there.
I'd say it would probably have to be established at club level more so, first of all,
Yeah.
to be ingrained.
It is. It's kind of making sure facilities keep getting developed, and that's always a big issue kind of for our sport. It's quite costly and it's difficult to get space and that kind of thing. So I think continuing the development of those facilities. We've got a pitch now out in the sport campus in Abbottstown, which is great. But to continue that kind of thing and make sure there's a very solid home for hockey there that we can build on and hopefully host tournaments and get a stadium, that kind of thing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way to leave it off.
Well, Chloe, we wish you the best of luck
Thank you very
in
much.
2020,
Thank you.
and I'll be on.
Great, thank you so much for having me.
This has been In Conversation with Chloe Watkins. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.